Water in the atmosphere, page 54. During a rainstorm, the air feels moist. On a clear, cloudless day, the air may feel dry. As the sun heats the land and oceans, the amount of water in the atmosphere changes. Water is always moving between the atmosphere and Earth's surface. The movement of water between the atmosphere and Earth's surface is called the water cycle. As you can see in figure 13, water vapor enters the air by evaporation from the oceans and other bodies of water. Evaporation is the process by which water molecules in liquid water escape into the air as water vapor. Water vapor is also added to the air by living things. Water enters the roots of plants, rises to the leaves, and is released as water vapor. As part of the water cycle, some of the water vapor in the atmosphere condenses to form clouds. Rain and snow fall from the clouds towards the surface. The water then runs off the surface or moves through the ground, back into lakes, streams, and eventually the oceans. Page 55, humidity. How is the quantity of water vapor in the atmosphere measured? Humidity is a measure of the amount of water vapor in the air. Air's ability to hold water vapor depends on its temperature. Warm air can hold more water vapor than cool air. Relative humidity. Weather reports usually refer to the water vapor in the air as relative humidity. Relative humidity is the percentage of water vapor that is actually in the air compared to the maximum amount of water vapor the air can hold at a particular temperature. For example, at 10 degrees Celsius, 1 cubic meter of air can hold at most 8 grams of water vapor. If there were actually 8 grams of water vapor in the air, then the relative humidity of the air would be 100%. Air with a relative humidity of 100% is said to be saturated. If the air had 4 grams of water vapor, the relative humidity would be half, or 50%. Page 56. Measuring relative humidity. Relative humidity can be measured with an instrument called a psychrometer. A psychrometer has 2 thermometers, a wet bulb thermometer and a dry bulb thermometer, as shown in figure 14. The bulb of the wet bulb thermometer has a cloth covering that is moistened with water. When the psychrometer is slung or spun by its handle, air blows over both thermometers. Because the wet bulb thermometer is cooled by evaporation, its reading drops below that of the dry bulb thermometer. If the relative humidity is high, the water on the wet bulb evaporates slowly and the wet bulb temperature does not change much. If the relative humidity is low, the water on the wet bulb evaporates rapidly and the wet bulb temperature drops. The relative humidity can be found by comparing the temperatures of wet bulb and dry bulb thermometers. Page 57. How clouds form. When you look at a cloud, you are seeing millions of tiny water droplets or ice crystals. Clouds form when water vapor in the air condenses to form liquid water or ice crystals. Molecules of water vapor in air become liquid water in the process of condensation. How does water in the atmosphere condense? 2 conditions are required for the condensation: cooling of the air and the presence of particles in the air. The role of cooling. As you have learned, cold air holds less water vapor than warm air. As air cools, the amount of water vapor it can hold decreases. The water vapor condenses into tiny droplets of water or ice crystals. The temperature at which condensation begins is called the dew point. If the dew point is above freezing, the water vapor forms water droplets. If the dew point is below freezing, the water vapor may change directly into ice crystals. The role of particles. But something else besides a change in temperature is needed for cloud formation. For water vapor to condense, tiny particles must be present so the water has a surface on which to condense. In cloud formation, most of these particles are salt crystals, dust from soil, and smoke. Water vapor also condenses onto solid surfaces such as blades of grass or window panes. Liquid water that condenses from air onto cooler surface is called dew. Ice that has been deposited on a surface that is below freezing is called frost. Page 58. Types of clouds. Clouds come in many different shapes as shown in figure 17. Scientists classify clouds into 3 main based on their shape: cirrus, cumulus, and stratus. Clouds are further classified by their altitude. Each type of cloud is associated with a different type of weather. Cirrus clouds. Wispy, feathery clouds are known as cirrus clouds. Cirrus clouds come from a word meaning a curl of hair. Cirrus clouds form only at high levels, about 6 kilometers, where temperatures are very low. As a result, cirrus clouds are made of ice crystals. Cirrus clouds have a feathery, hooked ends, are sometimes called mare's tail. Cirrocumulus clouds, which look like rows of cotton balls, often indicate that a storm is on its way. The rows of cirrocumulus clouds look like the scales of a fish. For this reason, the term mackerel sky is used to describe a sky full of cirrocumulus clouds. Cumulus clouds. Clouds that look like puffy, rounded piles of cotton are called cumulus clouds. The word cumulus means heap or mass in Latin. Cumulus clouds form less than 2 kilometers above the ground, but they may grow in size and height until they extend upward as much as 18 kilometers. Cumulus clouds that are not very tall usually indicate fair weather. These clouds, which are commonly on sunny days, are called fair weather cumulus. Towering clouds with flat tops, called cumulonimbus clouds, often produce some thunderstorms. The suffix nimbus means rain. Stratus clouds. Clouds that form in flat layers are called stratus clouds. Recall that strato means spread out. Stratus clouds usually cover all or most of the sky, are in our uniform, dull gray color. As stratus clouds thicken, they may produce drizzle, rain, or snow. They are then called nimbostratus clouds. Page 60. Altocumulus and altostratus. Part of a cloud's name may be based on its height. The names of clouds that form between 2 and 6 kilometers above Earth's surface have the prefix alto, which means high. The two main types of these clouds are altocumulus and altostratus. These are middle-level clouds that are higher than regular cumulus and stratus clouds, but lower than cirrus and other high clouds. Fog. Clouds that form at or near ground are called fog. Fog often forms when the ground cools at night after a warm, humid day. The ground cools the air just above the ground to the air's dew point. The next day, the heat of the morning sun burns the fog off as its water droplets evaporate. Fog is more common in areas near bodies of water or low-lying marshy areas. In mountainous areas, fog can form as a warm, moist air moves up the mountain slopes and cools.